What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back. I know it's been a while and a lot has happened since my last video, but today we're going to be jumping on the 636 and we're going to be talking about one of the most important things that you need to worry about when you're learning how to ride a motorcycle. Let's do it. Before we get into today's video, if you've been here for a while and you were expecting a video, I do apologize. I'm sorry for the delay and the long-form content. The end of the year and the holiday and the beginning of the new year was a bit hectic, but we're back and we're going to try to be a little bit more consistent. And with that being said, if you're here from one of my social media platforms, or if you're brand new and you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit the subscribe and the like and the things that help me out. Alright, let's get into what I want to talk about today, which is comfortability. Now, of course, everybody knows that you got to be comfortable doing whatever it is that you're doing. If you're not comfortable, you're not going to do well. You're not going to perform. Everybody knows that being uncomfortable is just terrible in any situation. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable. But when it comes to riding motorcycles, being comfortable on the bike that you're on is really important, especially as a new rider. And I know that I mentioned at the beginning of the video that we're going to be talking about something that is super important and not talked about enough for new riders, but it applies to all skill levels, really. If you're not comfortable on the bike, if you're not comfortable with the roads, if you're not comfortable with every aspect of what you're doing on a motorcycle, that can lead to really dangerous situations. So if you notice, even guys that are on MotoGP, even the Marquez brothers, anyone that you can think of that's a professional at the sport, they need to be comfortable on their motorcycle. So whenever they switch brands, whenever they switch bikes, even when they get a new bike, they're taking laps and laps and laps on that bike to get comfortable with the motorcycle, even at that high level. So even more so for somebody that's starting out, being comfortable on the motorcycle that you're learning on is so important. And of course, if you're watching this, you're thinking, duh, obviously, but it's a little more than just be comfortable. How do we become comfortable? How do we get to the point where we're not scared of the bike, we're not afraid to take it on the road, we're not afraid of certain roads, types of roads, traffic, etc., right? How do we get to that point to where we are comfortable at all times in all scenarios? The simple answer is to just ride, right? But it's not that easy, because if you're not comfortable and you are a little frightened, you're a little afraid of the bike, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to be very tense, you're going to be very you're scared. You're actually upset and afraid of something bad happening, and that's the worst way to ride a motorcycle. You can't be afraid of what's going to happen. You have to be active and aware and looking, right? So again, how do we get to that point? Well, a lot of it comes down to the bike that you chose to learn on, right? Which is why we talk a lot about on this channel, choosing the proper bike, proper gear, doing everything to set yourself up for success from the beginning. So if we've made the right choices and we've set ourselves up for success, becoming comfortable on the bike that we chose is going to be a lot easier than for some other people, right? The ones that chose a bike that's a little bit too much for them, it's too heavy, whatever it might be. But then beyond that, once you've made the decision and you've made the proper choices, now comes the time that you're going to put into the bike. So say you're scared to get on, you feel kind of wobbly, you really don't want to get out in traffic, whatever it might be. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to start small. You're going to take your bike, and first and foremost, you're just going to putt around in first gear, barely out of the friction zone, maybe not out of the friction zone at all. Getting comfortable with how your bike maneuvers at slow speeds is the most important thing about getting comfortable on the motorcycle at all. Because as some people seem to forget, the leader bike boys that think that you have to have a leader bike or it's nothing else, forget that the bike is going to keep itself upright as long as it's moving forward, right? So the most comfortable you can ever be is at high speed, because the bike's doing all the work. As long as you're twisting the throttle, the bike's going forward. At low speed, however, that's where you're in control of the bike, and you really have to handle how it maneuvers, where you're putting your weight, how you're moving your body, how you're moving your hands, where you're looking with your head, all of those things. So if that's the case, in order to get to the place where we are the most comfortable, we have to put ourselves in the uncomfortable position, and we have to do it over and over and over again. And once again, for the people that have been riding a long time and are thinking, okay, well, this is obvious, this is something that I do all the time, it is still a good reminder that when you're learning a new skill, when you're trying to drag the knee, when you're trying to, practice going really fast, whatever it is, you have to put yourself in those uncomfortable positions incrementally in order to get yourself comfortable and to the point where you're going to be performing at the very best possible level that you have as a rider. And that's super important. Anyways, that's all I wanted to chat about, just being comfortable and uncomfortable and making sure that you are taking the time to become comfortable with your motorcycle, especially when you're first starting out. It's more important, in my opinion, than pretty much everything. Become comfortable, learn your bike, and you'll be golden. Thanks for watching the video. Again, if you're new here, don't forget to stick around. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.